notes first. Transgender television journalist, born male, became female. I always have to say that because I wear my hair so short. People say, what direction are you going in? Anyway, I'm here with my lifelong friend, Lucia Cammarata, who's the founder of the League of Disabled Lesbians here in New York. We're going to discuss health care under Trump and the dismantling of the safety net. Well, hi there, Lucia. How are you?
I am rankled.
You're rankled. Sounds like a skin disease. What the hell is rankled?
What's rankling me is what you should ask.
What is rankling you? She asked.
All of the machinations of the Trump machine. It is not only, it's a war on healthcare, it's a war on Americans, it's a war on the citizenry, it's a war on the people who elected him.
Yes, haha, which will come as a big surprise to them when they have no medical care. Let's talk about medical care. Trump and his henchmen want to do away with Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps,
Social Security disability.
And Trump, when he was running, said in so many words, you can find it on YouTube, I will not touch Medicaid. And now he's touched it. And I don't want to know what he touched it with. But it was long and no, but anyway.
No, what he said was he wasn't going to touch Medicare or Social Security. He never mentioned whether he was going to touch Social Security disability. And that's what he's touching. He's leaving the seniors alone, he says, at this moment. But he's not leaving the disabled alone. Because after all, our disability is our own fault, according to Congressman Mo Brooks of Alabama.
What did he say?
All good things come. He said that pre-existing conditions are the result of a bad lifestyle choices. And pre-existing conditions include disability.
Like a baby born with leukemia made bad lifestyle choices in utero, I guess.
Yes, or type 1 diabetes, or asthma.
This is ridiculous. How did these criminals get in the White House? The phone is off. We're using a phone to time the show.
No, it's not.
We're on location.
It's not off.
But this is really ridiculous. I mean, what is going on here?
What is going on is that they're running the United States as if it were schlock business.
Which it is now.
Which it is now. They're dealing in schlock. They are giving us a healthcare proposal that is for the meanest good, for the meanest number. You know? Remember, America was founded almost on a socialist principle of the greatest good for the greatest number?
Yes.
Well, that's certainly not the case anymore. Because the greatest good for the greatest number, if you look just about diabetes and you want to talk about poor lifestyle conditions and choices, you have to realize that many of the people who have type 2 diabetes now, have genetic predispositions to it, but secondly, they are forced into making those poor lifestyle choices by economics, by availability of foodstuffs.
Yes.
By the not availability of foodstuffs, but the kinds of foodstuffs available.
The lack of availability of fresh food, of wholesome food. Yes.
What they can afford.
And the price, which is prohibitive for people who are on a fixed income.
And if you keep cutting back on food stamps, they're only going to be able to buy carbohydrates, right? Only carbohydrates, and maybe a gallon of milk here and there, and maybe some sugar soda for fun. Because after all, people have to have some fun somewhere, somehow, you know.
What can we do to keep Trump and his henchmen
at bay?
Yes, from doing away with health care. And indeed, what can we do to get single-payer health care, which every other industrialized nation has? We do not have it. How can we get it?
Well, how can we get it is a very hard thing. You see, now they're saying they're taking everything back to the states. The states are going to have high-risk pools, but they're not going to be well financed by the federal government. But everything's kicked by the states. The states can decide who's in the high-risk pools, how much medical coverage they deserve, and all of that. If we're kicking everything back from the states, it becomes fiefdoms. It becomes a feudal society. The whole idea of the federation...
Well, that's what they want. They want a feudal society with no education, no medical care, women having no rights. That would be the Dark Ages once more. And that is
Well,
pre-feudal.
this is welcome to the Dark Ages.
Yes.
You know, and so getting back to the dissolution of the Union and the dissolution of the federal project, or the Federation, yes, it does serve their purposes because a divided populace is one that has no power. So if New York is feuding with New Jersey over who has the better health care, and the population is moving from state to state to state to state, then certain states, of course, would become bankrupt faster. The ones that have more liberal health care would become bankrupt faster, and then Trump and his cohorts could point out and say, poor fiscal responsibility, which is one of their favorite things to say. Because after all, the Affordable Care Act is failing. But why is it failing? It's failing for the exact reason that the Republicans embedded in the actual law when they had to manipulate it to get it passed. They put that failure into it purposely.
Well, but it was supposed to lead, ideally, to single-payer health care, and it doesn't. And because Trump has put a roadblock in front of the road and is now trying to do away with most health care. Now, there is a politician in the U.S. who said, quote, what did he say? I'm going to try to say it the way he said it. Healthcare is a privilege, not a right. When he said that, he was at a town hall meeting, and I believe he couldn't leave for 5 hours because the populace was so enraged. He thought he'd need health care. So, I mean...
Was that Tom Cotton who said
that? It was one of those people, I don't know. I don't know their names, and I don't want to know their names. But anyway, he's on a par with Mo Brooks with his, everything is a... Yeah. I mean, no. We the people do or do not consent to be governed. And if you take away everything that makes life livable, we will take away your political regime because we do not wish to suffer this way.
Well, that brings up another thing.
Impeachment, yes.
Is this a legitimate regime?
Yeah.
Was it elected legitimately? Or was there malfeasance in the election?
Hello, and Russia, I mean, smells like borscht to me. What can I say,
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, really, a little message to the Republican hierarchy. We the people have certain rights. Yes, healthcare is a right. Yes, the right to food and shelter and life.
Oh, that brings up another thing.
And you cannot take that away from us because it is much easier to impeach you, to put you out of office, than to suffer under the horrors that you would bring down on our heads. So think about that a minute. You take away everything that we value that makes life worth living, we will fire you. You will be out of a job. That's it,
But you brought up something very interesting about housing. Let's talk about Ben Carson, the esteemed neurosurgeon, who believes that poverty is a state of mind. Now, I can say something. Poverty is a state, not a state of mind, it's a state. And it's a state that is caused by a apparatus that causes it, that only lives if there's a class that is poor, that is impoverished.
In other words, there's a business.
It's a system that only functions if one of the strata of the system is underprivileged and impoverished.
Sure, and with that ties into racism, keeping certain races a permanent underclass, instituting a new Jim Crow, mass incarceration. They are reinstituting private prisons, I believe, and they are going to incarcerate everyone, apparently, except themselves, when they're the ones who should be in jail, so there you go.
There's another thing.
Trump and their friends.
There are many faces of incarceration.
Trump looks good in orange. He dyes his face orange. An orange jumpsuit on Trump would look good,
So, anyway, that's true. But there are many faces of incarceration. There's not just imprisonment, but there's also the shuffling off of the unwanted, the unemployed into the military, cannon fodder for these wars that we needn't fight, but that we do, and we fight them with great valor and triumphalism, and then we lose them.
We don't even lose them. They're permanent wars.
Yeah,
They are.
Afghanistan, what is
Yeah.
it, 14 years? And the Taliban is winning.
Nobody's winning. It just keeps on going because the weapons manufacturers want it that way. And if you make sure that people are poor and can't get education.
They have to go into the military.
But years ago there was something called the GI Bill. When you got out of the military, you got education, you got a home loan. That no longer exists.
You had a fighting chance of having a normal life. Now you go to war, you get PTSD, you get poor VA health care that they want to privatize on top of that.
Yeah, huh?
You know? And because privatizing health care has been such a raging success so far.
Here in New York City, on every street corner, or nearly every street corner, you see homeless men who were once proud veterans who get minimal assistance, minimal health care, and are left to languish in the streets of New York, to live in the shadows of the super expensive high-rise buildings that have been built here, making many people homeless, displacing neighborhoods, just destroying everything, so that a few oligarchs can buy apartments in the sky to use as investment properties. They never even bother to live in those apartments. They simply sell them, buy them, sell them, buy them.
To foreign nationals.
Often people who are Russian.
Or Chinese.
Well, whatever. But I mean...
Remember, we don't like the Chinese either.
Oh,
Those Ruskies and commies.
yes. But anyway, well, they're not commies now,
I
honey.
said those Ruskies and commies.
Yeah, well...
Those Rusky commies.
I don't think you'd be hard-pressed to find communists anywhere in any government because, excuse me, they found out that money talks, you know. But we really have to do something. We, the people, have to stand up for our medical care, for our rights, for the right to food, to shelter, to life. We cannot let these people, we are not helpless. We are, 2018, it's coming soon. If you find that someone has betrayed us and said they were going to vote for the people and then turn around and don't, and try to take away any of our rights, they call them entitlement programs. No, they are rights. In civilization, these are rights.
Since when was I entitled to get sick? Since when is this an entitlement?
What sickness do you have? Let's make it clear.
Well, I have MS, but
Multiple sclerosis.
But I don't want to personalize it. I want to talk about anyone who is disabled, anyone who has a chronic condition.
Yes, but stop and think. Many veterans with post-traumatic shock syndrome are disabled because they have post-traumatic shock syndrome, yet they get no help at all. And they live in the streets, and they are as disabled as someone in a wheelchair.
How about every African American in the United States has PTSD, not only from slavery, but from being treated as a second-class citizen, but from being exposed to Jim Crow? They all, you know, there's a whole swath, a whole class of people, a whole race of people who have PTSD inherent, inbred in the American ideal.
Because they're people of color, and in this America, the rich old white men are getting very nervous because they know that every other group is in America and every other group is growing, and rich old white men are soon to be a minority, and they know this. And this is scaring the hell out of them because they like bossing people around. They like using people as slaves so they can make more money and more money and more money, and they don't care that people are suffering and going hungry. It doesn't bother them.
But the problem is, if you say this is the last gasp, they can do a lot of damage.
They're doing it.
And when you do damage and you try to undo it, you never undo it the whole way.
They are doing it, and all the strides that were made under Roosevelt in the 1930s with the New Deal are just being destroyed. I won't even say they're chipping away at those things. They're taking a big sledgehammer and breaking it as though they were defacing Michelangelo's Pieta. It's just ridiculous. They're destroying
Actually, more
it.
like the David, because that's a homoerotic statue.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Which brings up...
to misogyny. They hate women.
But it also brings up Betty DeVos.
put her back down. You brought her up.
Now, she, in keeping with the whole thing of pre-existing conditions being bad lifestyle choices, believes that it's the parents have the best decision-making process in how to educate their children. But she also would not denounce if federal dollars are spent on vouchers for private schools, and these private schools discriminate on the basis of race, LGBT identity, sexual gender identity, class, ethnicity, or disability. They shouldn't get their federal dollars, should they? Because of Title I, right? Because of Title X.
Public education is a cornerstone of a free society. Everyone has to be able to read, write, and do arithmetic. They have to know. And if you dumb down the population by creating elitist private schools and no public education, that is wrong and that is unconstitutional.
But what do they care about the Constitution?
Public education is a right for everyone. Everyone has to, there have to be public schools so that people can go to school and learn the basic skills of life.
But after all, what do we need the basic skills of life for? We can sit home and learn by television.
That's how Trump did it, and look what happened. Apparently he watches an immense amount of television, clearly not this show. He should, he might learn something. But Trump is very good at being a stand-up comic. He's very good at being an MC, he's a very clever personality. But there's no substance there. He's all technique, no substance. I've studied stand-up comedy. I know what he's doing. He's using standard techniques that everyone learns. We need, when politicians say, when they run, someone runs and they say, oh, I'm not a career politician. Well, too bad. That's like saying I'm not a career brain surgeon. I like career politicians. They know the career of politics. I do not need some untalented amateur like Trump creating chaos wherever he sits, just ruining everything. I mean, his whole life is a whoopee cushion. He's vile. He's just destroying the U.S. and, by extension, the world. He's causing problems in Europe and every place.
It's all purposeful, though.
What's the purpose?
The destruction of the state. Who do you think it benefits? Let's look at who it benefits.
Who does it benefit?
Well,
Whom does it benefit?
It benefits his businesses, for number one, because he puts his business in front of the business of the government.
Which should be against the law, and I believe it is.
It's an emoluments clause.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't pertain to him, because after all, the president's office is not a governmental office, and the emoluments clause applies to governmental offices, and he's decided the president is not a governmental office. So what kind of office is it if it's not governmental? I'd like to know.
Who knows? I don't know.
Okay, but it benefits all the autocrats. It benefits Saudi Arabia. It benefits Bhutan. It benefits even China. It benefits Duterte in the Philippines, who he congratulated over killing the suspected drug addicts and suspected drug dealers without the benefit of a trial.
You call Putin Bhutan.
Bhutan, yeah.
Yeah, but you mean Putin.
I mean Putin, yeah, but it's Bhutan.
Watch it. You might get a plutonium teacup if you don't watch.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But anyway, in addition to all of that, who it benefits.
Yes, we're using a telephone as a timer.
Let's look at things like how much more money is now being earmarked for the military, and how little money is being earmarked for diplomacy.
And how about helping the people here in the country? We don't need more soldiers. We don't need more guns. We don't need more bombs. We don't need
more aircraft carriers.
We need
we
help
don't need
here.
Any more nuclear submarines.
And
anyway, what's the point of having a nuclear submarine if Trump is going to call up the President Duterte and say, hey, by the way, 2 of our submarines are off the coast of North Korea, so just in case you're interested.
What we need is medical care, is housing, affordable food, subsidies for people who need those subsidies. We don't need more war. We don't need that song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's what we need. We don't need hate. We don't need racial prejudice, bigotry.
You don't know divisiveness, division.
Well, that's how he won, saying,
I know.
oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Yeah.
And we don't need coal jobs either. What we need is renewable energy, and we need people to be re-educated so that they can take those jobs in renewable energy.
Well, I mean, coal mining must be a pretty brutal job.
And also, especially without health care.
Well, hello. I mean, black lung and all that, and the strength involved with no food, because ain't no food stamps either. So, I mean, maybe instead of giving 3,000 coal mining jobs, he should, give them better stuff like different jobs that aren't, so physically taxing and.
Re-education policy.
Yeah, well, but of course, no public education, so, re-education, but it doesn't work if you never learned how to read and write because there were no public schools.
Oh, no, but it's okay. Because all those coal miners can enlist in Trump University and become real estate
Trump University.
Real estate entrepreneurs.
Why is it that a con artist like Trump is our president? Trump University. That's all I have to say. Trump University.
How about all those bankruptcies? How about all those suits against them for non-payment of wages? Non-payments for goods delivered?
How about all the women who say, and I was interviewing him and he backed me into a corner and he said terrible things to me and he put his hands all over me. So many women of all stripes, reporters, non-reporters, have said that Trump felt that he felt that he could just, as he put it, grab their pussies. Meow.
And
Watch
also,
it, fella. This pussy bites back. Yeah.
And after all, Trump can kill somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and still get elected. And he is killing somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue. The population of the United States, he's slaughtering us.
No, he's trying. As I've said earlier in this show, ultimately we the people do or do not consent to be governed. And those of us who are transgender, lesbian, gay, whatever, people of color, people of femaleness, listen, 99% of the world's population is not Trump and his friends, if indeed he has any friends. And no, we just say no.
And
we just say no to these changes that he's trying to bring down on us, and we just say no. We won't allow this, period. And that's it. Because there are a lot of us, and there are only a few of them. And we're the ones who gave them their jobs, and we can take their jobs away and say, bye-bye, back to Fifth Avenue.
If they don't gerrymander more.
How did this happen to this country? How did we wind up here the way we are now? What happened?
Well, maybe nothing happened that we did.
But I mean, this shouldn't be happening, that we have these horrifying problems that have come upon us that we didn't look for, that we didn't provoke. Well, those people who voted for Trump, and you know who you are, you brought this on us and on yourselves. And now you're not going to have health care because you thought you were so superior that you were going to vote for Trump and it was going to be a rich WASP world and the rest of us could drop dead. And guess what? If he takes away health care, we're all going to drop dead, WASP and non-WASP alike. Am I right?
You are right, but some of us are going to die faster, and that's the point.
Well, all I can say is, yeah. But is there anything we can do short of impeaching these fiends?
Sign petitions, go to protests. You really have to sign the petitions. You have to call your senators before the vote in the Senate on the health care.
And do telephone them as opposed to emailing them, because Ann Northrup, famous for many things, but famous for being the co-host of Gay USA with Andy Hum, told us on this show that telephone calls are always paid attention to, whereas emails come in by the score and are ignored, But telephone, and your senators will listen. Leave a voicemail. They will get the picture.
And also call up the senators you oppose and the congressmen you oppose.
And well, yes, but let them know that,
Don't just preach to the choir, in other words.
yes, and, and don't forget, people in politics want to keep their political jobs. If they're faced with not being voted for again, they will toe the line and do the right thing and not take away health care or anything because they want to be reelected. Anyway, my guest has been healthcare and lesbian activist Lucia Cammarata, founder of the League of Disabled Lesbians.
Yes.
Here in New York. I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Remember, I love you even if no one else loves you. I love you. And make sure you call your Congress members, your senators. Tell them you want single-payer health care, that you will not stand for health care being done away with, that you demand health care, that it is a right, and it is. Anyway, I love you a lot, and I'll see you next time.